All right, so let me just throw the issues out there, and I'm going to ask the listeners and the panel to discuss what they want. So this morning, listening to Nana Tufo, sometimes that's where I get my cue from. So I think the first one is education. 600,000 people will be CE. We're told they can do their school selection in the coming week.
That's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a new approach. Nathan, if you can get the graphic for me. The government is saying that there's enough space for the, for the SHS entrance, And I'm not sure how to take that because while, it's good to know that there's enough space, I think we know that there's much more to the issue of secondary education than having enough space. All right? But I think that's the first one. And then Nat on the graphic front page is calling for a review of free SHS again. They want a dialogue. They want a dialogue, which I find interesting because in Ghana, we have a lot of talk. So for social forces to be literally begging the government for a conversation about free SHS for the past year, and the government has not agreed to do it, I think it's quite serious. I mean, this is a country where there's talk overload. Like we discuss everything, we talk about everything. So it's quite, I don't know what word to use. Some would say surprising, but it's quite sad to have a whole nut. Do you get me? Like,
do you sense? Do you?
I don't know.
Do you have a sense of stubbornness from the government to discuss this?
I don't even understand.
I'm just asking.
I don't know what word to even use. I don't know whether
they think it's fine.
I don't know whether it's like.
But the government has been stubborn over almost everything.
Yeah, but this one,
almost everything.
Like this is not even saying that stop it all.
They say review it.
They're not even saying review.
Let's smoothing the rough edges.
No, the guy said let's dialogue.
Yeah, but the call is actually review.
Yeah, no.
And in its current form, is a problem.
The call is like let's discuss it.
Yeah.
Do you get me? And I don't know why the government, unless of course the government wants to discuss it on their own terms, or they don't want to be seen. I don't understand. Like,
they are not serious.
Look, Sky, there are 600,000 JHS 3 students. If you look at the number of people in SHS 1, SHS 2, SHS 3, that's over 3 million people and their parents. Education stakeholders, everybody is a stakeholder in education. And the country is saying, let's discuss this important policy that has been implemented since 2017, 2018, how it's doing. Let's talk about it. And the government doesn't want to do it. I don't get it. I don't know whether it's the way it was initially. You remember when the economic situation began in 20, I don't know, and the information minister said that government flagships are under review, and I think there was some backlash or something. And then from that time, it's just because even the World Bank has supposedly called for some level of discussion around the free SHS.
Even the Minister for Finance told you on your program that he has issues with the program in its current form. People should be able to pay.
Yeah. And they were all shut down.
They shut them down. Because it's the only thing that, strictly speaking, the MPP can point to.
No, but Sky,
something really substantial.
You don't understand. No.
Which substantial
if somebody
thing is also a problem.
You don't get me. If somebody says, let's have it. It's like, let's have a discussion about the way the show is going. All right? I don't see how that's a problem. It's like, let's have a discussion, sure. Like, it's not even like saying, stop it. And I don't think anybody, any right-thinking person at this stage is going to say, cancel it. In fact, even Professor Aite, who I can say is the president of the Alumni Alliance, who called for this like 3 months or so ago, he's saying that he's not saying we should even cancel boarding house. All they want is an opportunity for all stakeholders to meet and have a discussion about it. The pros, so it's like, you do the good, we list it. The bad, we list it. The ugly, we list it. Where are we? Where do we want to go? What are the... I don't understand how this is something that you need Nagrat and not to be shouting and begging.
Perhaps because they feel it's fine.
I think they should force
it. You know what's funny? What will happen is that as elections approach, they will talk about it within the context of election discussions, which is what we want to avoid. You see, because once, we are in August 2024, any discussion about free SHS will be just politics and elections. And you don't want an important national discussion to be too close to an election because all of us will not be reasonable. So I think the reasonable thing to do is, this is like the midterm of the government. It's like a year into the third year.
Yeah.
call everybody and say, let's hear all the views and let's come up with the top 5 proposals to make it work better.
They should force it.
Yeah, so what is wrong with the government?
No, I can tell you. I can tell you. Hold on, let me tell you.
Understand.
I can help you understand the stubbornness, right? So, exam scores are high at the moment.
At least so we are told.
No, they'll show you. It's raw data. I mean, you can't fight that.
No, let him finish.
I'm just adding.
No, let me hear him out.
You sat here and told us that schools in this country are having to re-examine the students.
Oh, I know.
So
No, I am just trying to get into the minds of why perhaps
he's trying to
the
help
government is not interested in having a conversation.
So yes, let me hear you out.
Because teachers have a problem with it. We've spoken about this thing for God knows when. I'm tired about talking about this. But so the government will point you towards their exam scores, which they will tell you is fine. If you look at subject upon subject, if you look at averages,
You're talking about WASI now.
WASI. But that's what. Because that is the outcome of free SHS. WASI is the outcome of free SHS. Mm-hmm. So we have a Kufuor graduates and all that we've been congratulating for the past 5 years.
But Godfrey,
hold on. So if those ones are fine, parents agitate every once in a while. It is not consistent agitation. Parents agitate when there is no food once in a while.
Now they've even resigned. So now they are just sending money to the kids.
Exactly. So the normal nature of Ghanaians. What is there to let the government then be moved towards a conversation?
Okay, you know what? I haven't done this in a while. So I want people to call and talk about this free SHS thing. Let people call. See, let me not frame it. Maybe because we sit in the studio.
Yes.
We are biased, or because we are middle class elite.
Please, so.
We are.
Oh, we are.
I don't know.
We are.
We wholeheartedly accept it.
Maybe we, the people on the program and the people talking, we are not seeing things from the way the government sees things, because maybe we are in Accra.
Exactly.
And maybe we are. Look, all of us, our kids are in private schools.
Sorry, we pay school fees.
No, wait, I'm coming. I'm giving a
I'm somebody's uncle.
Sky.
That's the point you don't want to admit.
You and I and Godfred, our kids are in private schools.
Which is yes.
And we are paying a lot more than the average Ghanaian is paying for education.
Correct.
So maybe we don't have as much skin in the game.
No, that's what I'm disputing.
No.
He's making assumptions here.
But Didila, I'm trying to understand.
You remove yourself from the assumptions.
You see, Godfred and I, we are not saying we agree with the government. We are trying to understand why they will take that position. So he's saying, number one, the results are good.
According to them.
I mean, the records are there.
Yeah.
It is clear. The results are good. But you and I know that results are not necessarily the evidence of learning. Okay? Number two, parents whose kids could not go to school and who have managed to get their kids to go may be telling the government something else. All right? That could be number two. Number three, maybe they can say every era, education has problems. So the fact that we have what do you call it? What's the name of the thing they call it? That thing they do in, out, what's it called?
The double track.
Yeah.
In, out,
the fact that you have double
out,
track
out.
is not the end of the world. Do you get it?
You will survive.
And the fact that there are more numbers is a natural consequence of population
Access.
growth. So it's not like the way we are seeing the problem.
And we can contain the numbers.
Maybe we are
according to
seeing
the
it from a
minister.
very elitist. It's like, oh, yeah, our pre-sec is no longer the pre-sec it used to be. Our cracker. But the point is that the number of students we have in Ghana today, there's no way you're going to have pre-sec the same way it was when Bernard Abele was there anyway. You get it? And number four, they're also saying, well, maybe we are building schools. We are doing what we have to do. So this call for dialogue is premature because at the end of the day, we know what the problems will solve it. Do you get it? Some of the problems we are facing are financing problems. We have an economic crisis and there's no money. So it's not only education that's facing money. NHIS recently, they have to pay them, get funds. So the issue of lack of money is not a free SHS creation. It's like Obi and Isika. Do you get me? So I'm sure if like the education people go to the cabinet and say, look, there are a lot of people who make noise. Democracy allows people to make noise, but we will know. So, for example, when we said we want to do free SHS, they said we shouldn't do it, but we've done it. So, forget them. Do you get it? I'm trying to get
into their mind.
Yeah, and maybe, which is why I think maybe you and I have been overly influenced by these civil society groups because we talk to them every day, we are reading their reports, and we don't talk to our people on the ground as much.
Bernard, I am not.
No, so wait. So let me do something. Let me ask
You
people.
want to get the people on the ground.
No, I know your views. Let me ask people to tell me whether they agree that we need a free SHS dialogue or not. Do you get it? Maybe they don't think so. Maybe you and I are just living in some ivory tower. We are going to do Bukulon Kofi Asari this week. We call into Kavonu and we are shouting and these kind of things. The people on the ground, they are happy with their free SHS. There's no perfect system anywhere. They know that eventually we'll get it right. So we should cut the government some slack. Okay, so I'm going to announce phone lines. Today I want to hear phone calls. Today I want to hear.
Right now.
Yes, I want to hear phone calls.
Open it.
And I want you to tell me what you think about secondary education and whether free SHS requires any dialogue or not, or whether we should just allow it to find this level. What I'll find this level is just 5 years. Look, even our democracy is 30 years. It's now before they are calling. Look, our constitution, right? We've done it since 1993. We're in 2023, 30 years. It's now that we are saying, oh, should we review? So free SHS is not even 10 years. So what's our problem? Let's allow the thing. Let's allow the thing to mature and stop this.
It is marinating.
Yeah, we are higher too much. Okay, so I want you to call and tell me what you think. 0302 230075.
Let's make it quick.
03. This is just 10 minutes, quick one, a few minutes. I want to just hear. 0302 224959. Just call and let's talk about this. Is it that we put in the studio with everyday English, free SHS review, educhum, whatever, napo? So let's hear you. If I'll be happy to hear from parents and teachers in particular, or people who are guardians. All right, you have wards in school. You pay school fees, or you're a stakeholder in education. Are we misunderstanding the government's what's the word to use? Disinterest in the free SHS dialogue. Are we misunderstanding government's disinterest in the free SHS dialogue? Do you understand why the government has not accepted any offer for a national dialogue on free SHS? 0302 230075 0302 224959. Now, if you can't call us, send us a voice note. We'll be happy to play it on air. All right? You can say, my name is Fifi Kumsin. I have 3 children. One is in SS2.
This is fine.
I think you guys are worrying yourself. Think of something else to discuss. Or I think the government doesn't want to talk about free SHS because they think it's whatever. I don't know. Give me a call. Let's start with Josephine from Latibia. Josephine, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
You're on air.
Yes, I don't know. We are even tired of it. We don't know. At a particular time, it is green. At a particular time, it is yellow. Can we go back to our old system and allow it to be how it is? 3 years in secondary school. For maybe 2.5 years. Some of us fell victim because we fell ill during the whole thing. So we have to repeat. So I did 3.5 years. And even that cry, it wasn't the day. Can we just go back to our 3 years and have our peace of mind?
Okay.
SHS did not help us at all.
The students are getting better results at WASI. Do you know that?
They are, but are we sure APO is not both? Because even after every examination, there is more battles. The teacher is arrested, students are arrested, APO. Now everybody is on WhatsApp. APO is distributed everywhere.
So you are not sure. Okay, let's take Abdul from Kolibu. Thank you, Josephine. 0302 224959 230075. Abdul from Kolibu, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
You're on air.
Yeah, I kind of understand the call for review, and the review will be the solution for free SHS. Actually, I'm still a young guy. My 2 kids are still in primary, so I don't have a child in SHS yet. But the review, based on the problems we are all hearing about free SHS, I think the review will be in the right direction. My only concern, I think, as a young Ghanaian just observing things that happen in Ghana, we will later realize that, we say we are looking at free SHS, let's look at how to trim down the kind of people that can pay. And you realize that these middle class and influential people, they hijack the system. Because sometimes you think about cocoa scholarship for cocoa farmers. Most of the time, the cocoa farmers' children don't get it. It is workers of cocoa board and all that end up getting some of these scholars.
Okay.
So the fear is, yes, they may review it and select the kind of people.
Right.
How to get these people is the challenge in Ghana.
Thank you, Abdul. 0302 230075 224959. CTFM is talking about whether Ghanaians understand the government's disinterest in repeated calls for a dialogue on free SHS. Cynthia from Somanya, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You're on air.
Yeah, please. Yes, please. I'm a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter in one of the SHS.
Mm-hmm.
There was and I'm also a teacher.
Okay.
There was a time our children were told that dining hall was no longer compulsory, and because of lack of food. Now, secondly, those children who didn't get admission to the boarding houses, their parents had to rent homes around our areas for them. And you should come and see what is happening. These are 16, 15, 17-year-old girls walking around and doing things that they want because there are no guardians, people cannot talk about it, and they are in free SHS. I think we need a review. It's very important.
Thank you, Cynthia from Somanya, 0302224959, 230075. I have a few comments I'll read. Some people have sent voice notes as well. Do you understand the government's disinterest in a discussion on free SHS? In the meantime, let me just read the story to save time. So the NAT has called for an urgent national stakeholder dialogue to relook free SHS program in relation to the current economic situation. The dialogue, the teachers' umbrella body said, should be aimed at smoothing the rough edges of the program, leading to a review for a seamless implementation. Speaking on behalf of NAT, General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa, told the Daily Graphic that key issues that could dominate the discussion at the dialogues included admission framework and processes, parameters for student qualification, infrastructure and ancillaries, sourcing of funding, involvement of parents, corporate entities, parent-teacher associations, alumni, traditional leaders, and all students associations. The rest, he said, were supply and availability of logistics, such as textbooks, stationery, equipment, and training and retraining of teachers for the schools. So he's actually given the synopsis for the dialogue. So it's almost like he's giving us a concept note. The concept is already there, right? But anyway, let's talk to Manel from Manette. Good morning.
Morning.
You're on air.
Yeah, okay. I think the free SHS needs a review because when it started, I couldn't stand it. I sent my daughter to a private school, and a lot of ministers brought their children to that private school. Why did they do that? That's my question.
Thank you for your question. That's Manel from Manette. Let's take Anaba from Zebila. Anaba, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bernard.
Morning.
Yeah, our work is fine.
Yes, please.
Though the topic that you are treating this morning is something to talk about, something different, but I have an issue to at least to link up with. I don't know if I could get your number, discuss some issue with you when you are talking about it and you put it online.
All right, so speak to my producer of air. Thank you, thank you, Anaba. Let me take another call. Okay, so the story gives the synopsis, and the NAT says, as critical stakeholders in the education enterprise, we call for a drastic review and overhaul of the free SHS policy to ensure its smooth and successful implementation for the good of Ghana, our motherland. All concerned and interested bodies, agencies, academics, alumni associations, teacher unions, and organized labor and parents should be brought on board for this very crucial and important dialogue to ensure a very broad participation. So, Sky, you could have a big stakeholder discussion over 2 days. The synopsis that Nat gives you the areas. So the people to invite have been listed. The areas of review can be, you can even break into syndicate groups, syndicate rooms, and say, okay, let's have a room to discuss admission framework, parameters for student qualification, infrastructure and ancillaries, sources of funding, involvement of parents, teacher associations, alumni, traditional authorities, supply of logistics. All these could be various groups. Then they will present, everybody can present, and the president and the minister can sit down and listen, and then they will say, we'll take your recommendations to cabinet. Anyway, let's take Emmanuel from Agona Suedru. Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. How?
I'm well. You're on air.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a teacher myself, and I support the review of the free SHS because what is going on in the schools is not easy. Sometimes you see a child coming to Form 1, and after the child comes there, you will never see him until when it is third year registration time. Then you see this child resurfacing again. How can these children pass? And head teachers, headmasters, mistresses, teachers are being threatened So they had to find means and ways for these children to pass. So to me, I totally support the review of free SHS. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll take Joseph before I take a break. The rest of you can send in voice notes or you can call us around 8:15. I really want to hear from parents and I want to hear from teachers. And also in the calls for the second part of the show, I want to know what aspect of free SHS you think should be reviewed. All right. So now we are taking a discussion beyond simply whether we need a review or a dialogue to what aspect. Because I think so far nobody has said free SHS is bad. But everybody says it should be reviewed. Let me end this segment with Joseph from Cove Town. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning.
You're on air.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want the SS to be reviewed because the government can't do it alone. And it is helping the rural folks a lot. Gone are the days when you go comment at my village, to do myself die, 2 first pass commenters. So now, if a lot of these people and students can go into SS, it is building the country. So it should be reviewed. At least parents should also contribute something. Then it will help. Other than that, this one thought is not helping. But the program is good.
Thank you for your call, Joseph. So far, we got Josephine from Latibia Okoshi, Abdul from Kolebu, Cynthia from Somanya, Manel from Manette, and Emmanuel from Agona Sredu, Joseph from Cove Town. I think they are ad idem that there needs to be some level of review of the program. That's just 6 people. We could take a few more. I'll read some voice notes as well. And I'm trying to figure out whether we here misunderstand government or whether the government is misunderstanding the people. And it is looking like the other one rather, because of course 6 is not enough to say there's a consensus on it, but at least we'll take a few more to see. Before that, experience true convenience with a Zenith Visa or MasterCard today. All right, back to the free SHS discussion. The phone lines are still activated. I will be happy to hear from you. 0302 230075, 0302 224959. Particularly parents, teachers, and other stakeholders. What's your experience with secondary education? BEC 600,000 students wrote, and the government says there's enough space for all of them in secondary school. Which aspect of free SHS would you be interested in talking of a review? And by review, I'm not sure we are saying that policy should be scrapped, because all of us on the program agree the policy has come to stay and we have to work to make it work. So that the conversation is no longer whether we need free SHS. The government has already implemented it. The discussion is about how to smoothen the rough edges. And the NAT gave us the various areas, admission framework and processes, parameters for student qualification, infrastructure and ancillaries, sources of funding, involvement of parents, corporate entities, PTA associations, alumni, traditional leaders, and all students associations, supply and availability of logistics such as textbooks, stationery, equipment, and training. There's also issue of feeding, and there's also other matters. All right, let me take 2 more calls before I do some voice notes. Emmanuel is calling from Lakeside. Emma, good morning.
Good morning.
You're on air.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to contribute to the discussion. When these VSHS was coming, even the teachers were agitating a lot of raising issues, but it seems they are quiet now because I think they are benefiting. Look, when our wars go on vacation, they go for classes, and the fees they are charging, some charge even more than 1,000 Ghana cedis for a month or 2. So I think that they are benefiting. So some of them are very quiet about this problem, and even some of them who will not give out when it comes to discussion about this call. So I just want to, from the teacher side, this come out.
So you think the teachers are quiet not because they fear victimization, but because they are benefiting from some of them. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ima from Lakeside. Here are some voice notes you sent as you listened to the show this morning.
Good morning, Bernard. I think there's something everybody is trying to avoid in the discussion of this free HSS. Sorry, my name is Prince. The point is that it is because of political and politically related issues. It is the main campaign message of the MPP. If they call for any review, it's like shooting themselves in the foot. They won't do it, even if it's going bad. They know it, but they won't do it because if they do it, they will have no campaign message.
Bernard, good morning. Government is simply ashamed to be told of the challenges, the problems bedeviling the system. The only reason why they are refusing that dialogue is that they simply are ashamed to be told in the face that these are the challenges, let's find solutions to them. Free SHS was proclaimed as the messiah to resolve every issue with senior high school, but it is not. Okay, passes doesn't mean anything. Okay, quality is important. Look, if you have a sore and you refuse to put hot water on it, and you think because it will burn you, you put cold water and prevent the pain, very soon the portion of your body where that sore is will be cut off. So please, government must agree and sit down and talk. Simpliciter.
Hello, good morning, Bernard. So I'll say this. Let's be careful what we wish for, okay? On this free SHS thing, what I've always, anytime I've had a discussion on it, what I've told people is this. We should be careful what we wish for. Because one, free SHS is the only thing in Ghana, and I stand to be corrected, but it's the only thing in Ghana that I can cast my mind to that is that cuts across social classes. It's the only thing that citizens can benefit from, and there's no form of discrimination. So your son, Sky's son, my son, Cecilia Dape's son, when they are in SHS and they are going for free in Ghana, the treatment is the same. That's the only thing, not NHIS, not any other policy we have in Ghana. So yes, it needs to be reviewed. However, I am a bit cautious about that. That's why I say let's be careful what we wish for. If you say let's review it so that some people pay, it will become a problem, because how we are going to identify those who have to pay will become a problem. We've seen that with Get Fund. Get Fund is supposed to be there to give people who are needy but brilliant scholarships. We know that there are thousands of people who are not needy, who are not brilliant, just by the mere fact that they are connected to someone in high places, get those Get Fund allocations, and they get it multiple times. So once you start saying let's identify people, it will become a problem. I believe it will become a bigger problem. Free SHS is the only thing that everybody can benefit, irrespective of your social class. So we need to find another way to get the government to review it. But then if that's not working and they don't want to review it, let everybody go. I prefer that we end up having church mates who have all been to SS and can read for the most part and write, than to say that let's review it and maybe let's make it gradual, and then some people are left out and there's only the rich people who get in. It will be messy, trust me. Let's be careful what we wish for. Let's be reminded of our surroundings and how in the past targeted programs have been, or programs where people need to contribute have been. Let's be careful. I prefer that rather than mess it up, or rather than have a system that targets only the rich, let's rather have
All right, so that was another one. Let me go back to the phone lines. Auntie Pat from Mampong Ekwapim. Auntie Pat.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning. I want to contribute to the successful SHS program that was introduced.
Go ahead.
Honestly, I'm a teacher, but I have retired. Had it not been this program, many children wouldn't have gotten the chance even to step in the SHS, to even learn ahead of the BEC what they learned at the basic school. So the way the program, first, second, third, let some people go, let them come home, that is a very good idea. It is not easy. Let us appreciate it. And then all parents who had their awards to be in schools that they wouldn't have even gone, they should thank their God that this government had done so much for them. It is not easy. The teachers also at the secondary schools and even at the training colleges, they are also have done very well because they never go on vacation. Even on vacation, they have to mark papers and all those things. It's not easy. We shouldn't take our education for granted at all. The minister who came in and then all those who helped in putting the SHS program, they have done very well. Let us thank God. We shouldn't underrate them. Yes, this is my contribution.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
All right. So far, 2 comments saying that, look, free SHS is of course doing very well. And so I think we'll take those comments. So let me take Kobe from Kumasi. Kobe, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bernard. How are you doing?
By the grace of God, we are fine.
Right. So I am also an educationist, and I think this policy is a clear testament of the disconnect between policy formulation and its implementation. You know, in Ghana, the bane of our problem has been that we always have very good policies, but the manner in which these policies are implemented leaves much to be desired. This particular policy should have been a targeted policy, targeting the poor and the vulnerable in our society. Because I believe there are several parents who can afford to pay fees for the awards. Yet this wholesale implementation of such a policy has not helped. Now let's look at the issues that arise from this particular policy. Because it was a political promise, the government was bent on implementing it at all costs, even though we know there are issues with it. Numbers have increased, and that has resulted in the double track system. Now, the double track system has also come with so many challenges. Even though we claim the policy is free, students come to school maximum 2 months, they vacate for 3 months. Parents would have to pay for private classes for the awards while they are home. And sometimes when you consider the cost involved in these, you would realize that had they even paid for the normal tuition of the awards in private schools, it would even be lesser. Secondly, there is the issue of food. Children or students of late are fed with just one ladle of, when they go for dining, one ladle each. And it is, the nutritional value of the food is even questionable. And so the program or the policy has several shortfalls, and I think this dialogue is very necessary. And the earlier we do it, the better. Otherwise, the quality of our education in the next 5 to 10 years will be questionable. Thank you very much, and have a...
Thank you, Kobe. Let's go to Ernest in Adenta, who will be the final one for this segment. Ernest, good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
You're on air.
All right, thanks for having me. All right, so I wanted to talk about the free SHS, and for me, I think that it's a very good program. I'm a teacher myself in the secondary school, and I believe that this program has come to stay, and for the fact that it has benefited a lot of people, regardless of the class or their status in the society. But moving forward, as a teacher myself in the secondary school, one of the things I've identified is the fact that the government spends a lot of money every year into this policy. And by one way or the other, it has a tone on other sectors of the economy. So my opinion about the review is that looking at the amount of money which is being injected every year to this policy, an aspect that can be reviewed, that can help the entire program is about the feeding. Now, should you make it a way where everyone who wants to be a boarder should pay for the feeding? If you not be able to pay for your feeding, then the best way is to be a day student and still benefit from the free SHS. And me being a teacher, one of the things I've also identified is that some students are not even able to read. And they come in with certain grades that I ask myself how. Because like the policy is such a way that everybody must go, regardless of the grade that you score. So they
are you saying that there are SHS students who enter after BEC and cannot read?
They find it hard to, difficult to read. Some of them, when you even ask them to read, they will tell you, I cannot read.
A JSS graduate who cannot read?
Yes.
How is that possible?
Bernard, I'm serious. There's one student in my class that, I don't want to mention one student in my class that when you ask, read, and the whole class will be like, she can't read. She herself will tell you she can't read, and she'll be quiet. Sometimes I can force. She will not read.
So how did she get into the school?
I asked Bernard, I can't tell.
So what do you do? By the way, what subject do you teach? If you can tell me.
I teach Christian religious studies.
Which requires reading.
Yes, Christian religious studies and then social studies. These are the two subjects.
So how does this student write exams?
Bernard, when you pick the script, everything testifies to that. You wouldn't know how the person is, even able to construct, words, sentence, and grammar and all that.
Is there no special program in the school to teach them how to read?
We do. There's a program, but it's not that effective. It's not really that effective. It's about I've forgotten this program's name. It's not that effective, but there's one thing that I would testify to is that we have similar situation before where the students find it difficult to read, and the result came. It was all about EF throughout. Right. So my suggestion in the review is that if the grade is not all that good as it was in the past, then the best thing is, perhaps the person will be enrolled in the TVET to be able to, acquire certain skills and then.
Or is it possible? What about repeat? Do you subscribe to the idea that if somebody is not good enough, they should be able to rewrite the BEC until they get it before they get to SHS?
Yeah, I'm sure that will also help. But in this case, like everybody is going, regardless of your grade. Unlike the past where there's a cut-off point, I think aggregate 30 or so, but now it goes beyond.
Right. Thank you, Ernest, for your call. That was Ernest from Adenta. It says an SHS student in his class cannot read.
Yeah, but that goes to speak to the problem at the basic level that we've been talking about.
Yeah, but how can somebody be in SSS and not be able to read? Class 1 to class 6 to JSS 1 to JSS 3 can't read SSS. Bro.
Why are you shocked?
No, I should be shocked.
No.
Can't read though. It's not saying doesn't read well. Or can't read. But if you can't read, how do you pass BC?
But have you seen the basic school numbers?
Hold on. If a person cannot read, how do they reach GSS 3?
They pass them.
How do they pass?
I don't know.
How can you pass without knowing how to read?
They are passing. They are passing.
Is it possible to pass? How is it?
They are passing.
All right, so let's hear a few final announcements before we get into very scandalous claim by a teacher that some of his students can't even read.
It's not surprising. It happened.
Okay. Stop it. Anyway, we talk about water all the time. And water is important. Water is life. And with Verna purified water, you are not only guaranteed the pleasure of satisfying your thirst, but you are assured of water that's been treated properly and water that is safe to drink. Verna purified water is recommended by the Ghana Medical Association. Verna purified water, changing people's lives. Now, in life, you always have to insist on the best, and when you find it, stick to it. Bell Pack paper tissue is one of the best things in life, and Bell Pack kitchen towel as well. These are two great products from Belacqua. Now, if you want to be a distributor, call 0551 144 400. Now, the University of Ghana School of Law is giving you a unique opportunity to learn new things and broaden your horizon. They have 19 MA and LLM programs for the 23-24 academic year. Visit their website, law.ug.edu.gh/masters, and you can call 0531 282 413 to find out more. UG School of Law, the best place to be, and registration ends on August 31.
All right, now let's read some reactions.
Okay.
From this on this subject.
Okay. All right. This one says, I have an issue with this notion we keep pushing. It's like if we don't go to school or complete secondary school, we can't be anybody in life. When they complete secondary school, they don't want to go back to learn any skill. We have to review. Those who couldn't pass well should be interviewed and placed in vocational schools. I have a slight issue with this. How we seem to think that the vocational schools are for the cast-offs.
Yeah.
We treat vocational schools like some gulag.
It's not correct.
You know, you didn't do well, so go. No, the vocational school is for those who are skilled with their hands.
Yes, not necessarily
for the cast-offs.
True.
So
the same way they treat visual arts.
Look, we need to think about that carefully. The vocational schools are training grounds for people who are skilled with their hands, because the aim is to produce masons, tilers, bricklayers, joiners, all these people who can read, write, count, and measure. Not we throw them there because they didn't pass.
I see the thing that vex you.
No, it's better. It's really.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, this one says, now it's like SHS students go on vacation every month. Nobody really understands what's going on
1 month, 1 vacation.
with the education as it stands. Their results in the WASI may be good, but I want to know if it's necessarily better than before the free SHS. And if that's all we should be looking at, okay? In my opinion, the current state of free SHS should be reviewed to improve the quality of education in all aspects. Courage send that. Mane Unaifa says, the boarding component of the free SHS should be taken out. Thus, parents who opt for a boarding facility for their wards should be made to bear the cost. All right, this one says, free SHS should be reviewed completely in relation to boarding and feeding. This whole program has led to a situation where some boarders have become truants, or they play truants. They have bad attitude towards learning, among others. Other issues are feeding, and students have been served with some type of meal for months. It says Morikoko in the morning, gobe in the afternoon, rice and sauce in the evening. So students who are fed up with these meals
that's
usually
not that bad, though.
don't go to
Morikoko in the
hall.
afternoon, Morikoko in the morning, gobe in the afternoon, rice. It's not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that bad.
Right. This one says clearly some of the students get money from parents and guardians. So if authorities have allowed for parents to pay something to support, it wouldn't have been bad. A concerned teacher, he needs to review his message. Let's move on.
Yeah.
This one says the decision not to review is 100% political. The government is afraid opposition will use it against them and later win power to maintain it and end up enjoying the outcome. The feeding aspect is taking a toll on the government's purse since it has failed to use more local food, but it continues to import to feed students. Clothing and books, 9 exercise books and 4 notebooks, which are supplied once, come late. In my opinion, it's not necessary since students are made to buy, says check fabric and other forms of uniforms that students use while waiting for government supplies. Can't the same be spent on the main uniform? Okay, all right.
That's
Afar Tikas from Kantudu. Jerry Ellie in Hohoi says, just like other sectors, our education is also besieged with narcissistic leadership. Nothing is working, yet no one can say anything. Don't be deceived by the wholesale results being sold out. An aggregate 6 today is worth 18 of yesterday.
All right, so there are a couple of calls I wanted your comments on. Ernest from Adenta says he's a teacher, and he has a student, and he teaches life skills and CRS.
Social studies and
CRS. And the student can read. Antipas is a teacher in Mampong who says free SHS has really helped because there's so many people who didn't have gotten to school who are in school now, and that a lot of people she knows who would have been dropouts are learning, which is something we all agree, but I just wanted to highlight that. Then also a voice note that said that even though free SHS needs review, we should be careful what we ask for because free SHS is the only policy in Ghana that everybody can benefit from irrespective of who they are, and that a lot of social intervention programs benefit the rich or somehow people who can pay, like he used COCOBOD as an example, COCOBOD scholarship. So he's saying when we say we want a review, we should be careful because he fears that the review may lead to a certain abuse. I wanted to take some quick comments for you on the SHS student who cannot read, which I think doesn't make sense because like how can you, and not reading is like you can't, if you cannot read, then you are not literate, right? It means you are not educated, so you can't even go to class 2. So how do you go all the way to SS1? I don't understand. And you say you understand.
Oh yeah, I mean,
how can you get to
It's
SHS?
not surprising. There are areas you go in Accra, areas you go to outside Accra. If you go to also the hinterlands, the villages, you would see some of these problems in reality, where students who are in school, you would expect that a certain level and they should be familiar with a particular material and should be able to internalize it and tell you about it. But they simply don't understand what it means, or they cannot tell their left from right. So I'm not surprised because I've encountered this particular problem. There's a program.
You've encountered an SHS student who can read.
On many occasions.
Many occasions?
Yeah, some can even string sentences together. So it is not, because I have a program which is not something I publicize, known as VAFIAM. VAFIAM is
come and teach me.
Yeah, that's right. So I call what do you call it? Friends who have time on their hands
to go and teach in some schools.
Yeah, to go to a school that has maybe a teacher is off for a particular week because she's unwell.
So you organize people to go and teach.
Exactly. So they go and they provide, they use their time positively to help schools. And you encounter these problems. The reports you sometimes get is that these things are happening. So it is not new that you would find in a particular school a student who is incapable. The foundation almost always is the problem for many. So that if you don't get the foundation right, you move along the chain, you will not be able to internalize the material you are given to read.
What about the point that one caller made about FSS is the only policy that benefits everybody equally, and that we should be careful when we call for review because he's not sure that it will still be as egalitarian as it is, because people will he basically thinks the rich who can pay will hijack it or something.
Well, we have to face the facts. The truth is that there are many sound policies that the state has on its books in this country. The problem we've always had is the lack of honesty and integrity on the part of those who are running the policies to ensure that the right people get to benefit from it. Of course, one of the listeners called us and spoke about the Cocoa Scholarship Program. If you go to the Cocoa Scholarship Program, you go to the Commonwealth Scholarship Program and many other scholarship schemes that are there, one of the key realities you face is that people who should not ordinarily be on the program are there because someone is in an influential position. You and I benefited from Chief Dean Scholarship. And you know the rigor that goes into selecting who gets to go and who doesn't get to go. They look at various things. Your history as a person, the challenges that you've gone through in life, how you have impacted society in a positive way, how you are likely to impact society when you go to the UK and you come back, and many other things. Your academic performance, all of these things. But go to the UK today, go to the US today. There are many people on government scholarship whose only reason for going is because someone is their father, or someone is their mother, or someone is a party chief executive.
So are you agreeing with him?
Yes, I'm agreeing with him that, look, but you see, there's a point that I will depart.
Okay.
I'm agreeing with him to the extent that you find in the system brilliant programs which ordinarily should benefit a certain category of people. Because many of these people whose wards are attending schools outside the country on government scholarship, they have the capacity to pay. But they are not able to wean themselves off these government programs because they see it as one of the benefits of being in public office, which is completely disrespectful, and it brings about lack of integrity.
Because of that, let's leave it the way it is.
No, you see, this is where I depart. It is possible to have a social intervention program targeting the poor and insisting that only the poor and the underprivileged get to benefit, so that you set up a scheme. For instance, we have the LEAP program, right? It is not a perfect program, but from all indications, all the reports that we have heard, we have an efficient way of targeting those who ordinarily should benefit, because the numbers are there from the Statistical Service Department. So when you go to, say, the Agona areas, which is among the areas among some of the poorest in this country, you are able to look into a person's face based on the data you have, and you determine that this person actually needs the program. So what is lacking, first of all, is a structured way of determining who qualifies to be on a free SH program. And then secondly, people managing the program, having the integrity.
So who qualifies is you are Ghanaian.
No, you see, that's where we should depart and say that, look, the way we are going now, the program will crash. It will crash because everybody is benefiting. Not everybody is contributing the way they have got to contribute. If we do means testing, we are able to tell, Bernard, you, after all these years, you have...
If you do the means testing, the institutions that implement scholarships may not necessarily be honest. So you see, you can do the means testing, but the point that you raised earlier is the issue that there's people who are corrupt. There are people who cannot be trusted to be fair. So they will still do the means testing, but they'll still put their relatives or their party people in the thing. And then those who cannot pay will not get. So he's saying that now, you see, I think his point is that because Ghanaians cannot be trusted, the best way to do free SHS is to make everybody go free. Because anything you try and do about it in terms of managing the payment or whatever, inevitably, the poor will lose out. That's his point. So the question, though, is that has he listened to all the suggestions about free SHS to come to a conclusion? Because there are some suggestions that could even say that. Somebody said, make free day school free. Make day school free and make boarding paid for. Is that subject to abuse? If you say all free, everybody can go to any school as a day student for free, but if you want to go to boarding school, pay. Is that a departure? Because his point is that if you try and create a means test that an agency will implement, they will be corrupt and they will do it like Cocoa Board. Okay, so if you say everyday student is free, everybody that you pay, how will that work? Is the distribution of schools enough to favor the poor? So, for example, the schools are in Eastern Ashanti and Central a lot. All right. So, but the population is not necessarily in those places. All right. So, are you going to disadvantage the poor if you say they can only go to school free as day students and that they should pay as boarders? I'm not really sure. Do you get it? So, I don't know. I think that the point about we should be careful that a review could be distorted reveals two things. That one, people think a review of the policy is to stop it.
No.
And some people also think a review of the policy would mean that an agency has to now control scholarships. But we've not gotten there at all.
No.
I think what people want is for government to admit that the policy can be so much better and that they are not the repository of all the ideas in the world, that there are different suggestions that will definitely make it better.
You know, hold on. For me, listening to Mama Pat, Mama Pat is asking us to be satisfied with the barest minimum. And I don't think as a teacher she calls herself.
No, she's a teacher. You can't say she calls herself.
No, as she said, sorry.
You sound a bit.
Yeah,
she's a teacher, of course.
Retired teacher. I think Mama Pat's position was a bit off for me.
Why?
Okay, in the sense that what we currently have within this past 3 years, some children would this very emotional argument about some children not have gone to school, if not. Look, the danger we have is not at the secondary school level. Our friend who called and said somebody is in secondary school and cannot read, where is that person coming from? That child is a product of the basic school system.
By the way, I'm told that reading disorder, dyslexia could be the issue.
That's also possible.
So that, in fact, somebody sent me and says, Bernard, I'm Christopher Mafianya. The teacher called NS who said a student can't read is real. It's a reading disorder called dyslexia. We've been dealing with issues like that. Check the records and indicate that for every 10 students, one of them is dyslexic. Okay.
Yeah, so special needs.
That's what they are trying to suggest.
Yes, I'm just saying. It could be. Yeah. It could be. Yeah. Okay. But and even all those things are things we have to take into account.
Yeah.
Special needs. Are we paying attention to these things?
It will suffer an era of this.
You see, so the thing about education is it's not just about everybody's going to school, so let's go, yay.
But the point Mama Pat makes seems to be the main point a lot of people who are not well-to-do will make. That
But the point
for
is-
you, no, you can pay dollars for your child.
No.
But for we who have had this access, let's thank God for the access and be happy.
But
No,
nobody's
but the
saying
point,
that those
but,
people
but
should
nobody has said they shouldn't be grateful. The point I am making is that for the child before getting to senior high school has been exposed to a certain level of education already. 9 years of basic preparatory education.
And on to me, really.
You understand? The child pair, the way our school system is set up, the jump between, I'll tell you something. I used my agric science GHS notes to study for my WASI mostly.
Yeah.
The gap wasn't that big.
The teacher was conk.
You understand? Most of the things that you will pick up in GHS 3 are things that can carry you to GHS 1, GHS 2 if your fundamentals are okay.
SHS, yes.
Most of the things that you will be taught in GHS 3, if your fundamentals are okay, can carry you to SHS 1 and 2. 3 might be a different, SHS 3 might be a bit more difficult because you build on. But between SHS 1 and SHS 2. So the very, very important part of the learning is not for me the free senior high school. The free senior high school is top up. Okay, so parents should not even see, I think that looking at that as missing out from an education if you don't get access to senior high school should not be a conversation for me. Yes, because if you've reached it up to GSS 3, you are supposed to have a certain level of literacy with your numbers and your words. Okay, so that transition into senior high school then becomes the top up on that, where we have somehow reversed the focus to, let's say, look like you do not make it if the senior high school is not part of your education build-up. But if we analyze what we see now, the children in terms of what they are picking up in school, when you engage them personally, it does not look like there is much happening.
So you are saying that we should be more concerned about overall education and not overemphasize free SHS?
You understand? There is
Because if a student will be bad,
the student will be bad at the basic level before getting to senior high school level.
Okay.
You see, and the kind of attention, things have evolved. The kind of attention that perhaps would fix some of the problems of your very bad basic student entering senior high school no longer exists because we can't even identify special needs.
there's a very interesting point. Kofi Asari sent a report to me last week when the BEC was being, when the BEC was going on.
What did he say?
And the highlights of the report are that it's an Edu alert.
Okay.
A 10-year analysis of BEC participation in Ghana, progress and issues emerging.
Okay.
Now, they have seen that of the number of students who began Form 1 like 13 years, like Class 1 13 years or whatever number of years ago, 11 years ago, when the current batch of BEC candidates enrolled in KG 1, right? So 11 years ago is 2012.
Yeah.
So the Poro
2012.
BEC last week, when KG 1, 11 years ago, it says 11 years ago, when the current batch of BEC students enrolled in KG 1, they were about 456,000 boys and 450,000 girls.
That's 800,000 plus.
Okay.
That's almost 900,000.
Almost 900,000.
Now, the report, there's something they call cohort survival.
Yes.
Cohort survival. And then he says that when they do the analysis, about
If you look at the final numbers,
300,000
have fallen off. Yes.
have fallen off.
Yes. They didn't compare.
A third of the cohort who enrolled in KG1 in 2012-2013 academic year are nowhere to be found.
Yep.
Now, I don't believe that they've all died.
Oh, no.
So we can't say that 300,000 kids
It's
have
very
died.
consistent with the literature. If you go through a lot of the literature, you find people dropping off.
Yeah, so I'm asking whether that's abnormal for 300,000 people not to be able to reach SHS 1 or GSS 3 in 13 years. Is that abnormal?
Yes, that's a significant chunk of fallouts. Okay, which is why I am making the point I am making, that if when we talk about having a look at the free senior high school, having that look is what might actually save our basic education. You see, because all the attention, the fixation with the free senior high school for this 2.5 years, 1 month home, 1 month this, is that the resources that we've discussed, that nobody, that we are talking about, its lack of targetedness, the lack of nuance with its approach, means that a lot of the kids who we are preparing to enter that system
are not ready
because there is nothing happening at their level.
All right, let's.
Okay, so you end up pushing the children into the system at the moment because we know that cutoff points have been reduced. Were there repetitions when you were in school in Presec?
No.
We had repetitions.
Actually,
they'll repeat you if you fail.
Actually, hold on.
They'll repeat you.
Actually, hold on. Let me remember. I'm not
If
sure.
you don't remember, I remember.
I'm not sure.
Prempeh College will repeat you.
All right, let me read some comments.
No, I'm making a point.
Okay, go ahead.
We will repeat you.
But I don't think GSS repeat anymore.
No, I'm just saying, back then, we will hold you back a year. And I'm sure, Nita, you'd have experienced this in Akraka.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody you went to school
Not
with in
everybody,
Akraka
yes,
is who you
that's
graduated
true.
with.
That's true.
Are we repeating now?
So let me understand. Your point is that SHS is even too late for the quality issue.
For the quality issue now.
The most important should be
basic.
And my ultimate point is having this national dialogue will refocus attention back to basic, because we will then realize that our fixation with free senior high school and its attendance cost is killing us, because we have 600,714 candidates who just wrote BEC now, who are looking to enter senior high school.
Your point is that if those 600K people have a good basic education, even if they don't do SHS,
it is not too much of a national problem.
So I'm thinking,
which is the point I am making. Because
so
like I told
SHS
you,
is not such a
it's
big
not such a big jump if your basics is, because like I told you, if your JHS 3 is okay, JHS 3 is enough to help you navigate the nuances of senior high school form 1 and senior high school form 2.
So are you saying that SHS cannot salvage a bad JHS product?
No, of course not. It can't. Again, because the reason why I cannot in this current format is what I'm just telling you. When I went to Form 1, there were students who had been in Prempeh College for 4 years because they were being held back because their grades were not good enough, and they were making sure that they catch up. Who is being repeated in this system? Because everybody has to move along for the next batch to come. We don't have space. We don't have time to teach those things. So if Bernard Avler goes and his grades are, your cutoff point for maybe S1 or B1 is 45, and you consistently make 35, 10 years ago, Presec could not move you to Form 2 until you make that grade. Now, Presec says, move that student along because we have 200 more students coming.
So let me get your point. So in an ideal situation, Ghana should have strengthened basic education to a point where a JHS product is good enough is fit for purpose.
Yes, because...
And then free SHS would have become an additional thing that if you finish SHS, you don't have to truncate your education there. So you're saying that students, they're saying that a JSS education is not that good.
Yes.
Creating free SHS doesn't really solve your education problem.
It doesn't solve your educational problem because at the moment, it is not specialized learning that is happening at the free senior high school level, which is again the point I have made several times.
Okay.
If you're a bad student, no teacher has time at this moment to be focused on a bad student.
But let's just say that. So assuming I say that, whilst what you said is true, we have left that junction. So we are okay. So I agree with you.
You cannot leave it.
Hold on. I agree with you in essence.
Yes.
But I'm saying that where we are now, we have a free SHS that we cannot leave.
We cannot leave it.
We cannot stop. So what I'm saying is that how do we? So are you saying that the dialogue should not just focus on review free SHS,
no,
but should look at overall education?
No. If the dialogue focuses on free senior high school the way the teachers have described it, as we've heard Angel talk about it, as we've heard Kofi Asare, the people who are in education, talk about it, you would realize that it takes us back to that step that I am discussing.
So,
you see, because it will look at the numbers ultimately. Again, it will look at, do we need to send everybody to boarding? Or do we need everybody to do this?
I was thinking that the scope of the discussion would be very narrow in the sense that there's a policy that has been implemented that has challenges. And Nat says, let's smoothen the rough edges.
Yes.
So there could be a short term, let's discuss how to make this free SHS work.
Yes.
And then let's have a broader national conversation about education.
Yes.
Which then deals with the funnel.
Yes.
All right. So when you read the story, that page 1 and 3, it's very clear that they are saying that infrastructure is a challenge.
Yes.
how the people are selected to
Why is
enter.
infrastructure a challenge?
The numbers.
Because we are moving in 600,000 people.
Yes.
With the basic objective that if you end at junior high school, it's not good enough.
Yes.
So senior high school is okay.
I get you. But you see, we are also trying to marry two things. We don't want to touch the free SHS yet, because if we
don't have to.
Yeah, but you're saying that everybody who does a good JHS education, who's good enough, shouldn't even have to enter SHS. So the issue of access to SHS shouldn't be an issue.
For me.
Which then goes, I'm not saying what you're saying wrong, but I'm saying that when you introduce that, free SHS is somebody's golden goose. Goose that is a golden head. So if you touch it, they won't even talk. So we have to keep free SHS for a while.
No, you can keep free senior high school for whatever purposes that it is there for.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Have the conversation. But the point I am making is, free senior high school became an issue because the perception
was that GSS was not good enough.
It's not good enough. But if GHS is not good enough, we have moved the situation now to senior high school where we are sending 600,000 children every year into a system where teachers no longer have enough contract hours, books are not available.
So you're saying that the SHS...
So what exactly is it? What problem are we fixing at the senior high school that we could not fix at the basic level?
They will have a certificate and they will say they went to secondary school.
And then we see the consequence of that further down the road. When they come to
university, when
they come to and you ask them to write, and they can't.
So the policy is you are kicking the can
further down.
No, you are kicking it further up because this is up. All right, let me read two comments on the lack of reading to put it in context, and I'll come to you. And I feel like, listeners, if you want to make another contribution and you have not been heard, send us a voice note. I'll play it. I really want to hear people, and please give me your position or whatever angle you are coming from so that it will help me. I just want to read two more comments on there. Give me two more comments on this. So 054 9986996. Sky, give me 2 seconds, I beg you. I just wanted to read before I lose track of my thoughts. Bernard, don't be surprised that some students in SHS can't read. I did my national service in a senior high school, and I can attest to this fact. It's not just Form 1 students, but some Form 3 students too. During their mock exams, a question on the characteristics of money was asked, and most of them answered that money is blood.
You're kidding.
This is not a joke. So how can they pass the WASI? It's a question I know you ask. So this is what happens. Students are made to pay some amount of money, which is given to the teachers to teach them in the exam hall. The problem is very serious and it's still happening now. I work in a university and I live close to a remedial school. It's true that the policy has increased enrollment in SHS, but what quality are we getting in the end? This is a person who lives on a university campus.
I've heard the stories of this particular phenomenon that has emerged. Okay. I have a footballer who's in a school
that you are trying to
that I'm helping, who made a strange request a couple of months ago. Said they had the school had asked them to make payment.
He said for what?
For what? He says to help with the exams. I said, what are you talking about? 400 Ghana cedis. I remember the amount exactly.
Private or public school?
It's a public school.
Hey.
In the Western region, Western North.
So you further?
Yes.
And then you found out the money was for what?
For this.
For exam support.
For exam support.
I
had heard about it. I did not believe it, but it's something that is in the system.
Let me read more. This man is a reverend doctor.
Amen.
He says, Bernard,
amen.
You won't believe it, but there are some students in colleges of education who can't write one sentence correctly. And this is somebody I know personally, so he won't lie. All right, I know him, so it's not someone who will just send me a text message on air if he's lying. He's an educationist and a pastor.
Have you not seen the licentiate result?
No, but he said this is college of education.
Yeah, I'm saying but that would tell you about the licentiate result.
You are not pronouncing correctly. Licentiate result.
Yeah.
More point.
But look,
give me. I beg you. I just want to add some meat to that thing.
Let me read you a message.
Tell Godfred that
yes,
when his children reach SHS entry, he should take them out of school because they've had enough education.
I think that's a very simplistic understanding of what I said. And Professor Babuatin, who says he should tell you that, he says I should tell you that what I'm talking about, he taught you in economics, but he didn't pay attention. So let me read you his message. He says, our education policy is at variance with well-tested human capital models in labor economics. You see, not everybody can go to senior high school because the cost of education to that person is higher than the benefits giving you a negative net benefit. The cost of education is not only the monetary cost, but the indirect and intangible cost.
Alternative or gone opportunity.
You see,
cost.
so we have this notion that Esobiako school, but school near then. What is it? To what end? Okay. Now, some of the skill sets that you are talking about, a properly functional basic education level actually still deals with most of those things. Because, like I said, if your JHS mathematics is fundamental, and you had much better JSS mathematics than I did.
It's because I did classes in Form 2 at preset.
Fine.
Yeah, whatever it is, your mathematics was good enough to carry you through to a certain level at senior high school.
Even to university.
Because that is where...
JSS 2 that saved me.
Exactly. So, what is the difference between the mathematics being used by a mason, a plumber, a welder,
and the guy who's writing
economics?
It's the same as mathematics.
You understand? And where would the basics have come from? Fractions.
Yeah.
All those things. Where does that person pick those things up? Basic school. Yeah. So you cannot be a poor basic education student for 9 years and suddenly fix that with 2.5 years of a mishmash.
Okay.
Free something.
So let me just read two comments.
It doesn't work.
Here's another one, Bernard. I can empathize with you regarding your not being able to wrap your head around an SHS chap who can neither read nor string sentences together. There are too many such students. I decided not to wade into this discourse because I wanted to hear from other stakeholder groups. But listen, I teach in a so-called category A school, yet this school, I can report, has its fair share of these illiterate students in SHS. I will send you at least a screenshot of one such bothersome candidate so that you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, the reason why I'm struggling with Godfred is not because I disagree with him. The reason I'm struggling with Godfred is that we've already, you see, it's almost like you've boxed yourself into
a corner,
a room, a corner. So what you're trying to do is to come out of the room before you see. So I'm saying that in an ideal world, you strengthen basic education.
Yes.
So that basic education is good enough for a foundation for anything.
If basic education is strong,
then you
have
the
problems you have at first senior high
school.
Don't
worry, that's the other point. Every policy solves one problem. So you see, the other thing I learned in economics is that you can't use one policy to solve two problems. At least they said he usually says use one policy to solve one problem. So free SHS solve the access problem. You get it? So the call for its review is to ensure that in solving that problem, it doesn't create more. And that it solves that problem sustainably.
Yep.
The problem you are raising about basic education already predates pre-SHS. It's not pre-SHS that created it. Although you can say free SHS...
it has exacerbated it.
Fantastic. But the quality of basic education was there before free SHS came. So it has made it starker because now you have a fewer number of teachers, more students, and therefore if the person is not well baked in JSS, SHS cannot help them. Yes. But we can't say free SHS what created it.
No,
I'm not saying you are saying so. I'm trying to go for it. So I'm saying that to the extent that free SHS is here with us and we can't cancel it, let's deal with how to make it better. Because again, to flip back your point, even though what you said is true, if SHS is strong,
yes,
a bad BC person can still be helped. You see the point. Okay. So if I don't know which example to give. So there are some institutions that when you go to work, they will train you for a year before they give you any work to do.
Yes.
Because they believe that there's a certain quality you must meet before you can even represent their badge. So I'm saying that there are many ways of killing a cat. The most sensible way is to start from the beginning to say, let's make basic education so strong. But now you've got an appetite for SHS. Everybody wants their child to go to SHS. So that horse has bolted. The access SHS has created, nobody's going to touch it politically in the next 20 years. All right? So the question is, how do you make SHS both free but strong? Which I think is what the NAT is talking about. That, okay, government, we are not going to cancel free SHS. But there's a wide gap between cancelling and review. And I think one of the challenges we are facing is that people don't seem to know the nuance between saying, let's have a discourse to review something. I think there's some, I don't know, it's the media's fault. Like when we say review, some people interpret that to mean cancel.
But I think we've gone through.
No, because but no.
That
girlfriend, Auntie Pat is a teacher, a retired teacher who said, and the premise of her point was, it almost like to her, when we say review free SHS, we are saying, say, free SHS ninja.
No, but nobody's saying that.
It's not as simplistic as that.
Yeah, but you see, Sky, so what you need to do to help people is that when you say review, you are talking about a wide scope of activities from A to B, because most people don't get it.
Yeah, but I believe those points have been made.
But it's not sunk. I'm telling you. You know, if you like, and go and do an enumeration, go and do a poll and ask people, do you think free SHS should be reviewed? Their first understanding will be that you mean that it should stop it. I'm telling you. So it's not. Let's not make it seem that we were on air when we have data. People help us. And the other thing is that the way it's communicated. Okay, if somebody goes to tell some people in some place that I are buying this, that's why NDC will not touch it. Because if NDC comes to power and says, free SHS, I'm going to set up a committee to, let's say, say I can say NDC for no, almost say free SHS no. You get me? So it's I'm saying that even the fact that we are struggling with this discussion tells you that the general Ghanaian appreciation of nuance is a problem.
Bernard, let me read a paper, the conclusions of a paper that was done by Ebenezer Chan, which paper was published on the 18th of November 2022. The title of the paper is Examining the Impact of Free Senior High School Policy, Challenges and Opportunities. And let me take you to the conclusions and the recommendations that he makes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he argues that the study assessed the program, procedure, and political aspects of Ghana's free senior high school.
Are we not going to read the whole study?
No.
Just read the
findings.
findings.
Yeah, that's
yes.
what I'm. The results show that Ghana's strategy for formulating free senior high school policy was similar to the multiple streams model. However, according to the model's initial postulation, the streams were interdependent rather than independent. The new dimensions of reality for adjusting the multiple streams model that this study has found are that multiple streams are applicable to other stages of the policy-making process. An unsuccessful attempt to merge the three streams represents a learning curve and a launchpad for a new attempt with a propensity for success. Now, the fault in the lull in time between the initial attempt to merge the streams and subsequent attempts is dependent on the kind of window of opportunity. Now, he now gets into the meat of the recommendations. Now, a targeted rather than a general approach to free education would have been more suitable in the light of the cost constraints facing the implementation of the policy. Additionally, it would have been assured improved resource management and, of course, raise standards. We advise adopting, extending, and updating the vulnerability map, which is currently used for cash transfers to the vulnerable under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program, to target, support poor households who may also be stressed by other cost variables. Now, this will make it easier to determine who qualifies for fee exemption. Undoubtedly, targeting is necessary if Ghana wants to help the poor without raising taxes to the level of 70% of labor income seen in the Scandinavian nations. Now, he goes on. This is the second.
Summarize it.
This is the second one. It would have been less expensive for the government to design and implement a fee-free senior high school education in collaboration with the private sector. Now, Ghana can learn from the realistic alternative public-private partnerships in Uganda and Mauritius. Now, according to Uganda's PPP agreement, proprietors of private secondary schools are required to allow qualified pupils to attend classes, which has led to a 0.2 to 0.3 standard deviation decrease or increase actually in test scores in low-cost private schools. In Mauritius, the government adequately funds education and subsidizes a sizable percentage of spending.
I appreciate what you are doing, but what I want you to do for me is simple.
I'm saying the last one.
What are the salient points he's raising?
That is exactly what I'm reading. I'm reading the conclusions to you. Have the patience.
I've been damaged, so now I don't have time for long.
Hold on. Have the patience, please. Just listen to me in complete silence, respectfully.
You are here.
Yeah. And then finally, he says that reduce contact hours and additional charges for students in the form of private tuition and transportation costs were the result of the double track system, which developed as a result of a lack of classrooms and other facilities to serve the enormous numbers of students. In the short term, we advise that the DTS, which is the double track system, to give up on this by utilizing unused infrastructure and faculty in private schools. Now, long-term improvements in student to classroom and teacher to student ratios should be made to public school infrastructure and teacher training programs. Now, it is very likely that the political settlement framework that gave rise to the free senior high school policy will be maintained if these recommendations are successfully carried out.
So what I agree with you. What I wanted you to do was to sort of pick the recommendations and work with them for me. Because, you see, the way you communicate is not the same way he will communicate it.
There are three things he's saying. The first, he's saying, use the model that LEAP currently advances to make sure that people get money to the poorest of the poor.
Point number one.
The second one is where he talks about, let's learn from other countries. Uganda and Mauritius have an arrangement that makes it possible to send the students to even the private schools.
Thank you.
If it is possible, let's consider that and make it work. And the third one, which he talks about, is the issue of double track. He says that because of the lack of infrastructure, what you have is that many of the students are not able to learn in schools. So what you have is people are organizing private tuition for students, which Godfred, sort of alluded to. So they go there, pay money, get admitted into these private, classes, so that they can actually learn what ideally they ought to have learned during the classroom hours.
But the emphasis of your so there's a threefold issue there. The issue of a way in which to sort of apply the subsidy.
Yes.
And then using other examples and then they're bringing private schools. These are true. But don't forget that the premise for the whole discussion is review has a very broad, it's like a broad set of things. Which NAT has already done the work for us. NAT has given you
what to do.
They've given you like 8 areas of review. So some of what you are saying is in about 3 of the areas. So what I'm saying this morning is that the government doesn't seem interested in even one. Okay, the people are saying review admission framework and processes, infrastructure and ancillaries, source of funding, which is what you are talking about, involvement of parents, a subset of what you are talking about, corporate institutions, teachers, and alumni and traditional authorities, and all students as one component. Then you also say supply and availability of logistics, textbooks, stationery, equipment. So they've given many, many areas. And some of the points you are making, but my question, why is the government not prepared to discuss any
part of it?
At all? And the other point, so the comment that was sent that, Godfred, send your child to a GSS and leave them there, it also reveals a certain fear. So the government feels like the general population, where they've gotten to now, we've made SHS something to be prized. So if we come and tell them that we are coming to review it, they will
start questioning.
They will start questioning us. And to the extent that people value the free SHS that it has helped poor people get out of lack of school, we cannot be seen to be backtracking in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So it's almost like they've created their own problem, because don't forget when the NDC said some time ago that they wanted to review free SHS, the government people said no, they were going to cancel it. In 2020
but
election,
that is to put a negative spin on it. You see, we have to admit that this program is facing serious crisis. Which crisis, if we do not solve today, 10 years after today, we will be seeing the devastating problems that it would have created. That is why it is necessary that we sit down now to look at it. Now, if we say review, the review is not to say cancel it. It is to look at how it is performing. So, okay, when we wanted to introduce free senior high school policy, These were the targets we set for ourselves. That we will achieve this, access problem will be solved. We would ensure that literacy continues. People are able to read and write after getting out of senior high schools. And we can also ensure that placement goes into the tertiary institutions and all of that. Now, what we have to do is, okay, before we launch the program, did we create enough infrastructural environment as to ensure that people go into the system and they have enough classrooms to go and learn? Libraries are there, teaching materials, all of these things are there. So the review will take into consideration, first of all, as Nagrat is saying, are we providing the right funding? Do we have the right teachers to deliver the syllabus? Right? Do we have the right teaching materials? Do you have the right, teaching environment and learning environment? And in terms of admissions, have we put in place a rigorous process as to ensure that we are admitting the right quality of people, or let my people go?
What you are saying is true, but that's why Godfrey's initial point, first point he made, which you were interjecting, he said the government believes that the most important parameter to assess free SHS is whether people are passing. And I'm coming on. That's what the government believes. I was at the program last 2 weeks, and Educhum said exactly what Godfrey is saying. He came and said, well, some people here are naysayers about free SHS, but he would tell us that when we look at the results of the graduates from 2019, 2020, till today. Yes, exactly what he said. No, so I'm coming. We are not, don't worry. We are trying to let people know where the problem has reached so that your solution.
So then the government.
So the man said that the numbers have been achieved and they are performing well.
Hold on. You see, so we have tested that.
So where's your evidence that it's not working well?
Bernard, my witness is here, and if you don't mind, I can actually call him to the stand so that he will tell you. Godfrey has told us on this platform ad nauseum that there are many schools in this country, senior high schools, which when you go as a pupil, the first thing, they ask you that you should sit for reassessment. Which reassessment either determines whether they're actually taking you on board or which class they are going to put you in.
Yep.
Whether it is, GSS 1A,
like A1, A2, A3.
Exactly. So they know where they will get their science students from, the general art students from, and all of that. Why are they doing that? They are doing that because there is a lack of confidence in the results that are being churned out. Exam results do not necessarily determine whether you have properly internalized the material or not. Sometimes rote learning, what do you call it? Memorization.
Sky. My retort to you, if I'm the one, I say, okay, even you, I did what I got 5 A's, 2 B's. You say that, what shows that your 5 A's and 2 B's is not the same as, what's the point? We've always had people passing. And so, the only reason Legon admitted me was I got 5 A's and 2 B's.
You were told.
And hold on. I got 5 A's and 2 B's from Presec. And I got to Legon and did economics and got a first class. So why is somebody from Presec today who gets 5 A's and 2 B's? What shows that they can't do?
Were you not told that they give questions to?
But that thing was there from forever. It's not only this time. People have been accused of APO long ago. So the government's point is that the only way to assess a quality of education is the exams, and the people are passing. So what's your problem?
Bernard, if you take this view,
I'm telling you,
then there is really
why they are not minding.
So what I'm asking you to do is not to say agree with the government. I'm saying that the government has said. Evidence exists that the numbers have gone up. Nobody can dispute.
For evidence, they can be manufactured.
No.
On this matter.
You're not listening to me. I said, they say evidence exists that the numbers have increased. Evidence also exists for WASI results that people are doing well. So, I think those who say that free SHS needs to be reviewed need to provide counter evidence to say that, okay, 500,000 WASI products or 200,000 WASI products, the fact that 80% get this grade, you have to be a bit more surgical in looking at the exam analysis. So we need more qualitative exam analysis. That's number one. I'm coming beyond quantitative. The quantitative will say 30 people in Prempeh got 8 ones. But qualitative will say that maybe the gap between somebody who gets an A and a B is whatever. Then number two, the thing you are saying, when they go to secondary, when they go to university, the universities have to retrain them. Maybe the universities have to present reports where they will do reports on their assessment of first-year students. And together, through the Vice Chancellor's Ghana, publish a report around the products they are getting. So that could be another evidence. Then we can go to the normal logistical problems we are facing in the schools, where we all know now that they're overcrowding, the dining hall is no longer compulsory, teachers, do you understand? So you add Because you are trying to debate a government that is taking a position that the numbers have increased, the students are passing.
But now, hold on, let me ask you a question.
So if you don't provide counter evidence, it will just be your opinion without any facts.
Hold on. You see,
when governments take a position that as for this thing, they don't want to do anything about it, they can produce any paper to back it, right? But you and I know that it does not make sense to say that you have sent a child to school. For a month, he is in school, and we are told that he's coming back home. That child comes back home. I mean, are we doing fast-track learning and studies or teaching now? So that you yourself announced today that someone said that he or she took the child to school a month ago. And within a month, that child is coming back home because the term has ended. The point I'm making to you is, you add the fact that teachers have been complaining in this country that they are not receiving the materials needed to teach the students.
Mm-hmm.
They have been complaining about the fact that there are no spaces to actually even teach the students.
The students are passing.
I mean, you see, how can you possibly even believe that?
But the results are there.
You see,
the results are clear.
Bernard, you see, it is not.
So are you now indicting Wyatt?
You see, it is not just looking at what ultimately comes out as the result. But you see, you should actually audit the process.
Aren't you changing the goalposts?
No, I am not.
Not you. The people who are, because since forever, we've been writing WASI since 93. Every year, people blow. So, in fact, we use WAEC results. People are not doing well. Now the people are blowing.
Okay,
in the past, we used to do program and say, oh, Charlie, 40% have gotten D in maths. It's not good. They should get C. They should get B. Now they are blowing. You say you don't understand because free SHS something and you believe that. You get boy. The guy is like, the students are blowing. If the president calls the education minister and says, okay, Mr. Educhu, show me the trend analysis of A's in science. Say, oh, Mr. President, since 2018, your graduates are doing well. So what is with this guy says? I don't understand his problem too. So maybe we should call him to come and explain because we don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so let me put it this way.
Bernard, let's say that you have a relation, right, or a relative who when she doesn't go to class to study even during school hours. When she comes back home, she doesn't study, and you know that for a fact. Because of all kinds of problems. And yet, that relation of yours goes to sit an exam and comes out with flying colors.
She's a shark.
That's
It's a shark. It's a
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
in the system, and then those who want to,
No, okay, Sky, I want to ask you a question. What question was the guy answering?
He was dealing with the free SHS question,
And what year was this?
This was before the 2012 elections.
What constituency is this?
This was Ablekuma West constituency.
This was the NDP's candidate.
And you sat there and allowed this guy to speak for her.
He was vetted and approved by the Electoral Commission as competent.
As moderator, you couldn't. So what was he saying?
Which constituency again?
Ablekuma West.
I think we can glean what.
No, in fact, I want to blame you for the free SHS that we have in the problem, because this guy obviously legitimized the policy. And you're sitting there allowing him to say, okay, family are crying. This guy allowed him to say all these things he said.
What could he have done?
He should have, I don't know.
Bernard, you understand what he says, right?
He said every government must do something for their people.
The governance.
This is how many 2012 how many years
both
ago.
of us in the government.
I know what's funny. This debate was held when the people who wrote BEC this week were in KG1.
Yes.
Oh, really? That's what it means.
2012 is 13 years ago. Yeah. So this voice clip is as old as the BEC candidates.
Who wrote the exams just passed?
I know go lie.
That's a serious man.
These guys, because he said this in 2012, those people were in KG1. Some of them were not even KG. So they've matured to write. But the tomfoolery in his point is still there. It's not aged.
But you know, on my players' platform, there's one boy.
He's like this guy.
Who the other teammates have been accusing of not wanting to type a message. He's always sending voice notes.
It's more trouble. He can't write. All right, let's do a few quick announcements, and I will play a few more voice notes for you on this big debate, instigated by another call for dialogue on the free SHS.
So we've had NAGRAT, we've had NAT, we've had African Education Watch, we've had the media,
we had the Alumni Alliance, we had the Parent Teacher Association, we had
expecting to hear the
Professor Suman, we had Professor Diamond. All the people have said it.
Have a conversation.
Well, somebody says that the students are passing because parents are spending extra money on extra classes for their children, and the government is taking the credit for it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I must ask though, Bernard, before the message comes in. And this for the parents too. Like they would know their finances. Genuinely, if you work your mathematics, your expenditure, are you spending more or less?
What do you mean?
No, Sky just made a point about the fact that parents are spending more.
Oh, for extra classes.
For extra classes and the likes.
Other things.
So parents who can afford it.
No, that's what I'm asking. So those who understand these things,
they should tell you.
Yeah.
Whether they are spending more.
Are they spending more?
The money they would have paid to the school, they are paying it to classes teachers. So the value is it.
So in the end, okay, well, let me hear from them.
Okay, by the way, 2012 is 11 years ago. Me now, I need free SHS.
All right, let's get into some messages. We are talking education, though, and at the higher level, Heritage Christian College is a university that you can consider if you want to go there yourself or send your child there. They've got great programs at undergrad level. They've got some specialized master's programs as well, professional courses and media short courses. They are at Amasaman behind the Olympic Stadium. Get to them on 0202-298-399 or 0547-777-731 or visit hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian College, university training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. Now, add entertainment to your guest experience with DSTV for Business for your restaurant, hotel, pub, or office. DSTV for Business gives you the chance to legally show all Premier League games live and in HD with the option of exciting commentary in Chi on your premises. Catch all the goals, moments, clashes, derbies, drama, and everything in between on DSTV. Call them on 0302-740-566 or send an email to dstvbusinessghana@gh.multichoice.com. For more info, visit dstv.com/business/en-gh. Now, on the 26th and 27th of August, at the AMA Forecourt, we'll be having our This is Ghana exhibition. So get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, and innovation and mastery of made in Ghana products and services. Now, Citi FM and Citi TV will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, indigenous corporate bodies in Ghana, and all of that. Call 0205-973-973 for inquiries on how to participate. This is Ghana. It's powered by Citi FM and Citi TV and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo, Nalo Solutions, and Pan-African Savings and Loans.
And if you're tired of juggling countless systems, drowning in spreadsheets, say goodbye to the chaos and welcome the new revolution with Oracle NetSuite ERP. It's the all-in-one cloud-based business application system. No more fragmented data or disjointed processes. Enable collaboration among your team. Oracle NetSuite offers you functionalities in financials, CRM, manufacturing, inventory and warehousing, e-commerce, billing, procurement, analytics, and BI. Call Life Trust Consulting, your certified NetSuite partner, on 0501 516-090 or email enoch@lifetrustconsulting.com for a personalized demonstration. Join over 36,000 global businesses and unlock your full potential with NetSuite. And it's all about a Standard Water. 25 years of experience in providing quality and refreshing water. 11 regions of Ghana and counting. Sachet water, bottled water, dispenser, mounted jar, and so on. Standard Water is the #1 water brand on the market. Call 0202-055-703 for enquiries and bulk purchase. This advert is FDA approved. More comments. Before that, let's hear some quick voice notes on the subject on this under discussion.
Good morning, Bernard and team. I think the discussion you're having this morning on the free SHS is an important subject, which I believe that needs to be discussed for betterment of the program. I believe that it's a good policy, and what I think government can do to enhance the program is to at least let those who be in the boarding houses at least make some payment towards, for instance, electricity bill and then feeding. I remember in recent times, there was one analyst who did a calculation and said that even if you are to ask a child to pay, let's say, 100 cedis a term, and you have about 1 million people in a school, this is going to be a huge source of finance to help the government to care for some of the challenges as far as feeding is concerned. We are not saying that parents should bear full cost of the education, but I believe that if we can at least let parents pay for feeding, or let's say pay a bit for utility usage at the boarding houses, those who are going to the boarding houses, it will go a long way to help the sustainability of this program. We all know that we are in trying times, and some of these things should be bring on board. And I believe that anybody who is benefiting from free SHS will understand that paying 100 cedis a term to support feeding and electricity and water at the schools wouldn't be a bad idea. So I think government should look at some of these suggestions and then bring it on board so that the burden, financial burden, will reduce for us to continue with the program. Thank you very much. This from Abraham Lincoln, Koforidua.
Hi, Ben. I'm Kwame. I noticed many people want us to review the free SHS policy, a position I support totally. However, I also noticed that a few people have concerns and fears, justifiably so. The fear of it becoming messy, the fear of the fact that privileged people may take advantage of the policy, just like we have done with every other thing. And it appears that some suggest that because of this fear, we should let it be how it is currently. I would respectfully indicate that deciding not to proceed because we think that we may not be able to solve the problem itself is too defeatist. In other societies, people would think and look at how to solve the problem. Why are people in other countries or more than developed countries having 2 heads, 3 heads? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Yes, the fear of it being messy is justified. It is something we know could happen, but we give up because of that and say we should keep what we have now. It is like being between the rock and the high place. Thank you. We should have it reviewed.
Bernard, good morning. You see, the problem with this free SHS thing, we all think that going to free SHS solves anything. It doesn't solve anything. Those who are in the university now, they come to do industrial attachment. Basic things you ask them to do, they cannot do. Like you are trying to teach them concepts, to practicalize the concept that they have learned in the university. And when you ask them questions about the very things they just studied or wrote in the exams before coming to do attachment. They seem not to have any idea. And you ask them, then how did you write your exam? They say, well, we just chewed and we wrote. So after that, we can't even remember anything. I am a science student. I did science in secondary school, but I branched into business in the university. I can still remember a lot of my chemistry, physics, and biology. You dare not ask anybody now who just graduated last year from SHS anything about the courses they did in the university, and they will remember. It is so bad. And for me, my problem is even when they get to the university, they are all out there as graduates, raising their shoulders and their head high, thinking that they have got to something. They have nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even the graduates, those who are doing national service and those who are doing other programs, scheduled programs that are attached to their professional training in the university, like those in the health sector. Bernard, it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster, as if they have gone to the school and they didn't learn anything. So you, who is a preceptor at their practical areas in industry, you will have to work extra hard, and it is not easy. They make it look like you are tormenting them when it is their good that you are seeking. So we really have to look at this thing very well.
Bernard, the issue about evidence in numbers is that, yes, indeed, the government will have numbers that shows that we are breaking records, more people are passing. But how come those people pass and then they go higher and they show obviously that they don't know what it is that they knew to help them pass? Remember, Kojo said something about students who have had to pay for teachers to teach them in the exam hall. If a teacher is teaching 10 students in the exam hall, it means that all those 10 people could be passing and create the kind of confidence we are having in this system that we talk about. And yet, if they were left to their own devices, maybe just 5 of those 10 would have passed. That's the evidence we should be talking about.
All right, a few more comments on the show this morning. Good morning, Bernard and team. Great conversation on education. Between 2017 and 2021, there was a holistic approach to improving the learning outcomes of students because we realized the inability of children to read and count at certain levels like class 2 and class 4. Children were even to be examined at those levels with the new curriculum review. Gallup was to address the accountability of teachers. The basic education curriculum review introduced new learning methods. Teacher education was improved with new curriculum to educate teachers for different factions of students. A licensure exam was instituted to sieve the quality of teachers we employed at the school. TVET was overhauled to create alternative learning to cater for our industrialization purposes. It's all a matter of accountability. The systems are in place. So I think the person is saying that if things are not working, we should ask why the ministry is not implementing these policies that were introduced in the previous system. I think he's talking about 2017 to 2021.
One also coming in from Nee, and Nee says that good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Please ask Bernard how many of the SOL beneficiaries of free senior high school, i.e. the lower income, etc., will call it into the program to contribute to the topic. On the issue of who to pay or not to pay, could it be handled with digitalization? Or is it digitization? There's a difference between the two. Now, the Ghana card should be coming in handy here. Ghanaians are largely not sincere and like cutting corners. And this has been so from the very beginning. Nkrumah's free senior high school education, no, it's actually free education, for the Northern Territory saw rich Northern people sending their awards for free education. Talk about Mahama, Baumia, etc. They all enjoy free education, even though their parents could afford it. And this one says that it's a very long one, so I wouldn't go into that.
All right, let's read a few shorter ones on the main dashboard.
This one says there's only one reason the government will not listen to any of these things. The children of the elite are not part. So why bother? Francis from Mutinibi says the government's disinterest in the free SHS dialogue is because the problems are financial. For instance, supply of logistics, finance, provision of adequate infrastructure to cancel the shift system, finance, supply of teaching and learning materials, finance. So all the issues will boil down to finance. Government thinks by engaging the other stakeholders, it means the policy has failed, and hence will not engage in anything for political reasons. Charles Intema. Rich in Accra says, if you think the free SHS is producing good WASI results, dare all the tertiary institutions to conduct entrance exam. And you see that Apple was bought or the kids were taught the answers. Okay.
The other question is, why aren't the universities bold enough to organize entrance exams?
Why should they?
For these numbers?
Yeah.
Why should they?
You see,
it's not even possible.
It is. You see, in certain countries, universities are independent places of thinking. If universities feel that their voices are not being heard on the secondary education, they can put in place a policy to say, for quality control purposes, we will do because it was my year group that we didn't write entrance exams.
Yes.
The people ahead of me, they wrote entrance exams,
yes.
And Ghana didn't collapse. Okay. So I'm coming from 1993, when the SSS people started entering university, till 1999, there was always a university entrance exam conducted by the major universities. So universities should be able to say, we'll do an entrance exam, maths and English.
600,000 people.
They should write.
600,000.
No, 600,000 people are not entering the universities.
No, I'm just saying, when we get to the senior high school, let's say about
BEC,
100 and something
it's
thousand.
not even that number, because BEC is 600,000 this year.
Yes.
About half of them will not even enter.
You're looking at 250,000, Bernard.
How many? No. How many people enter our public universities? They are not
200. Last year.
No, but we are talking about
250,000.
Don't run. No. See,
I'm not running.
How many people do Legon have in level 100? So you can write. You see, in terms of quality control, the universities can introduce entrance exams.
See,
online.
Bernard.
They'll commandeer all the exam blocks.
Online.
What
don't they write law school exams? Don't they write exams for other parts of the university?
Bernard, you see, the issue is that the results that are churned out, although some of us have reasons to believe that there are problems with the results, should serve as prima facie evidence that the candidate is good enough to be admitted into the university.
I like the word prima facie. So then the university can then say, we will use the entrance exam to even determine placement and coursework. So we can say, for example, that we want to know whether the student is good enough to go to level 200 street. Because when I entered secondary school, A-level students went to Legon, they just went to second year, what we call level 200. It was SSS that they introduced level 100 because they felt that the quality of SS was not strong enough for them to cope with level 200. So the universities can introduce a university exam and say, it's an entrance exam to help us know areas of emphasis and the person's need. I'm saying that, you see, our universities have also slept. They should do entrance exam. And then we'll see whether the WASI results are realistic. We will see. What prevents them from doing it? Okay, so for example, I'm getting some information that about 135,000 university admissions annually. And now this university admissions is plenty. Legon, Tech, Cape Coast, Winneba, UDS, then the other ones, SHS, Academic City, Knutsford, Garden City, UHAS, UNE.
I'll make up this 135,000. Yes. Or this is public universities alone.
Well, Kofi, give me the information. Whatever. But why? If WAEC can conduct exams, and these are university-owned exams, so then when I finished SS in 98, we were studying for university entrance exam until they decided they weren't going to do it again. We were going for classes for it. And it was, why? Why was the people wanted, what's wrong with that?
You want to take to go on strike. Nobody will come.
Why?
Who will pay?
What do you mean?
Extra working hours for lecturers.
No, they are writing exams.
But somebody has to grade the exams.
The students will pay for it.
Mark it.
Pay for your... when students want to go to US, don't they write SAT?
Then you are then by that adding to the cost.
Wait, when you are going to university in the US, why do you write the scholastic aptitude test? Don't they have WASSCE results before they go? In the countries that they are from, don't they have their exams?
No, you see, Bernard, internally, many of these universities don't have these exams you're talking about. Externally, the rules often apply because some of these
I am saying that
requirements.
Between 1993 and 1999, and I'm talking from experience.
Yes.
I was actually preparing for exam before they announced that in our year group they won't do it.
You see,
so I'm saying that the universities have already done it. Now, if a lecturer sent him a message and said, now the quality that they are getting is low, and I'm saying that, you see, a society doesn't fail because only politicians fail. I am saying that universities must also come to the table. If universities' voice is not being heard,
then there's no problem.
At free SHS, can't vice chancellors Ghana come together and say, we believe that we must write an entrance exam for placement? So we can say, okay, you went to Tresec, you did visual art. When we look at the result you got at the entrance exam, we think you can do economics. Even though you did home economics at Tresec, we can say, look, when we look at the result you got from the university entrance exam, we'll give you a different course. Because they can have their own internal processes for quality control. And we should be able to do that in an environment where the government is not listening. You can't tell me that we shouldn't do university entrance exam.
What I'm not saying...
What is wrong with university entrance exam?
No, Bernard, you see, we know about how these things
Let's take a break and
create a new form of bureaucracy that people...
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.